Okay, so for my presentation this week, I picked Mark's and Manoy's sections for my presentation. So the question one for Mark is, if Mark had grown up in your congregation, still holding membership, even though now living in another state, what would be your relationship to Mark, to our ministry here at Hillcrest? Well, as our systems are designed currently, there would be little to no engagement, save through the church newsletter and our digital online worship. Now, while I try to touch on issues relevant to the community and try to write and preach cross generationally, I don't think that's what Mark needs at this stage in his life. Yet, this is the state of so many young men who are seeking but self isolating, and this puts them at risk of falling prey to the manosphere and to evangelicalism's many heresies. Now, Erickson's theory outlines 8 stages of development, and many men get trapped within the adolescent stages of identity versus role confusion. And we seem to come back to this stage as our lives change. And the key thing here is going to be nudging Mark towards positive sources of faith development and maintaining contact via text and during the times when he's probably back home visiting church and visiting his family. Now, I have used 2 methods over the last 6 years to reach out to young men like this. I participated in online debates on faith as well as online panels on faith topics on the app Clubhouse and have invited men like Mark into these environments. It gives them a chance to get to know me. It gets a chance to be to identify with the teaching and to be a part of that teaching. And these are done in kind of like these discussion rooms. So there's typing discussion and the ability for other people to come in and speak their minds on there. And so he's not sitting there with the pressure of a community around him. He can be as intentional in his participation or as far off on his participation as he wants. And it basically enables him to engage with me and our faith community at a level that works for him. Now, if Mark and his wife were in our current parish, we do have a process for working with men like this. I have several men like Mark within my community, and I have found the best way to teach and to minister to them is through mission. I have a young dad in my congregation of 2 children, and he was encouraged to attend our twice a month evening Sunday school and to teach not only his disabled child, but to be engaged with his other child through that program as well. And what this has forced him to do is to not only to, we should never be forced to spend time with our children. That should be a joy. But it has forced him to kind of learn the faith in a way so that he can absorb it and then teach it back to the children around him, including his own children. And it's amazing how much, when you're a parent trying to teach to your kids, how much you want to make sure that you get it right for them so that they grow up to be strong Christians themselves. He has not only therefore increased his engagement with his children, but this has also led him to building part of our set for our Christmas pageant as well. We've also used regular game nights in our Sunday school program to invite dads of that age into the church to spend time with the kids and to get a message on faith that we try to give in the language of children. So it's simpler language with simpler topics, which, if you've been away from the church for a while, enables you to get greater engagement and to relearn the faith in a way that you may not have learned it growing up. So, we're going to move on to Manoy's situation. She is Lao, and we have a very vibrant Lao community in the Twin Cities where I live. Uh, Belenky and Gilligan's model asserts that women's ways of knowing and moral reasoning are often relational and contextual. So instead of focusing on abstract principles, as some of the theories we read this week do, what we need to do is instead focus more on relationships and community in a person's development. Now, I think Manoy, would thrive in our environment here at Hillcrest. Our theology is expressed by doing, and we teach as we work. And for someone like Manoy, volunteering within our dinner church would connect her with retired educators who could help her to sharpen her skills, not only in communication technique, but also in her English speaking skills and reading skills as well. Plus, we have a women's group that meets monthly and does service projects within the parish. And we have Bibles in Laotian. I have a strong background in digital ministry and could use my ability to use AI and to program large language models to create and simplify the weekly Bible lessons that we use into her language in such a way that she can hear the language, that she can read her Laotian language. So as she's hearing the scripture in church, she's able to, during the week, engage with the scripture in her own language, thus shrinking that time frame between not being illiterate and being literate. And she could learn on her own time in her own way. Now, one of the weaknesses here at Hillcrest, I'm in a cross-racial appointment. I'm the only person of color in the building. But we do provide several cross-cultural opportunities. We have missionaries that we invite from other countries to come and speak on our campus and to share their mission with us and invite us into partnership. Those members in our outreach ministry will often invite organizations we are in partnership with to come and share with us. It is a fantastic opportunity to expand their notion of who is at the table with them. Finally, very recently, we have rented our space to a West African congregation, and this has provided for our trustees learning by doing, having to learn how to negotiate a relationship with folks from cultures that are very different from their own. How the notion of hospitality and creating space at the table for someone who is different from you and what that looks like. And in the past, my congregation, there are members of my congregation who would have immediately said no and pushed on and kept saying no until another white congregation came on, because that was where they felt comfortable. But by nudging them and providing education to them on how to apply our notion of kinship to expanding our table here by sharing our space, this has enabled them to provide a foundation to apply those skills to welcoming this new congregation into our building. And it has been fantastic. Instead of saying no, it's a matter of how do we work through this situation. Instead of saying we can't, It's a matter of working and talking with them and understanding that it may take a little longer to get the paperwork done. We may have to sit at a table and talk a little more than what we normally would to share our stories. But I will tell you this: the pastor of the church stood up and said that of all the experiences that they have had in these types of communities, he says that we have offered the most abundant hospitality of any congregation that they have ever met with, and that they have felt blessed by us, which is great because our mission is to be the blessing place. So I do think that Manoy would feel very comfortable within our environment. And I think that the longer we are in cross racial engagement with other communities of color, the more I not only think that a person like Manoy would come into our congregation, but would come into our congregation and thrive as well. So that's what I have for this week. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.